Alright. What's going on, everybody? This is your boy, Side 11, and today I'm breaking down the story of Cain and Abel, demystifying it and clarifying it, because the story of Cain and Abel is a story that comes from the esoteric tradition of things that is written exoterically, and most people unfortunately perceive this as an exoteric story, as something that's happened outside of them, while the contrary to that is actually the truth, because this is an internal story. This is an esoteric story about what we do with our mind and the results and the benefits and the downfalls that comes from those things. So when you hear about Cain and Abel in the Bible, the first things we have to understand is that Cain and Abel are two masculine expressions, two alphas, not beta, not beta. A beta would be a female energy, someone who can receive these expressions. Think about what happens when we say things like, "Oh, there's too much testosterone in the room." Now think about this in your head. Sometimes there might be too much testosterone in your head from the perspective of you not being able to decide which masculine expression to go about and buy. So just like alpha male or alpha men, which they're not really alpha men, that's just the shadow government version of alpha men. They're not really alpha men. That's not what it means to be an actual man. We see these people fighting with each other, expressing extreme masculine energies. You can see this on the internet all the time. But that's not how creation works. You're not supposed to go find another male and try to prove your point to him and be more alpha than them. No, you're supposed to take your masculine energy, your alpha energy, and find a female to house that energy from a mental perspective. Now, this is the marriage of your left brain and your right brain. But now this is a non-harmonious marriage between two masculine thoughts. So this leads into negativity and things like that. So we're going to go forward and break that down. So 3 Jesuits arts to understand the Bible would be numerology, gematria, and astrotheology. But because we're already using numerology and gematria to tell you the meaning of Genesis just comes down to the number. The first number is 7. So it's about the 7 days of the week: Sunday, Monday, which is nothing but Sunday, Monday, Moon Day, Tuesday, and those are all planetary days, planetary numbers. And this is what they use to create the Bible. And gematria is just nothing but the art of understanding the numerical value behind the letter, word, and understanding the sequence. We won't need that right now. We're only going to need astrotheology since we're still breaking down Genesis. Gematria and numerology, I will use that when we get to the next chapter after this one. So astrotheology, understanding of astrology, which is the understanding of daytime and nighttime, being objective and subjective, energy points. These are temperatures like molding an object in the furnace, parameter or circumstance of experience. Because we're going to see how Cain and Abel are within a certain field, are within a certain parameter, within a certain experience, circumstance, and the two energies that are in that condition are masculine energies, aleph energies, not beta energies. And this is going to explain to you in a story way what happens when two masculine expressions come together and non-harmonious inside of your brain. So, right off the bat, we need to understand that the earth and the air natures represents our orderly natures, because man brings order to things from chaos, from the feminine realm, from the subconscious realm, which is the realm of fire and water. So fire and water would be considered right brain, our chaotic natures, but even our chaotic natures can give birth to things. When you are in the hospital watching a child's birth, that is a very chaotic nature. That's something coming from the yin realm, the unseen realm, the realm of chaos, into the realm of order, into the conscious realm, into the earthly realm. That's why we walk upon the earth, because it's our external representation of what it means to be practical. So the earth is something we do inside of us by being practical, going about things practical, like the zodiac sign of Virgo, the Virgin, or Taurus, or Capricorn. They go about things in a practical manner. They see the value, the possession, the material thing. Because the second house is astrology, about value, possessions, and things like that. The sixth house is about routines, routines, your workplace, things like that. Not your workplace, but your work, what you constantly attend to, what you constantly come in as an outcome, and things like that. And then your 10th house represents things like your status, your reputation, which all deal with the earth element, which is in different modalities. So Now let's get started. And Adam, so the logical masculine element, Alpha or Aleph, knew Eve, his wife, feeling, right brain, element Beth. So just like you got some masculine expressions, and you got some emotional expressions. And when these things come together, that's a harmonious expression. That's a harmonious creation. You can have a child from that. Let's see. And she conceived. So we're talking about the brain here, negative and positive. Negative being fire and water, chaotic natures, and positive being earth and air, orderly natures, creating friction to give birth to a new form, and brought forth Cain. So Adam and Eve came together, your left brain and right brain, and gave birth to another masculine expression named Cain, and said, I have acquired a man through God, which means alchemy, understanding of how things come together for purpose of creation or destruction. But here, this mind created a mental abomination, since two masculine energies will fight about who's right. So this is a harmful alchemy, not a harmonious alchemy. And she proceeded to bring forth his brother Abel, masculine expression. Abel became a herdsman of sheep, using air, which basically means to use air, your logic, your communication, like the zodiac signs of Libra, whom initiate communication, like the zodiac sign of Gemini and the zodiac sign of Aquarius, which all use the air element, the logic, to direct the circumstances and the situations of their life. But now this is going on internally. So Abel was a herdsman of sheep, using air logic to direct natures on an evolutionary scale. Because when you're dealing with your emotions, some of your emotions and your thoughts are immature. So you might need a herdsman like Abel, a logical thought, a communicative thought, to tell these other desires, to tell these other expressions to go this way, so you guys can go higher on the evolutionary scale. And Cain was working the earth, practical nature of things. Now this happened, masculine natures clashing in the mind of an observer, God, after a number of days. So it's telling you after a number of days, but in your timeline, this means really seconds, minutes, hours in your head. You wondering, which masculine expression should I go about it? And this can lead to frustration and things like that, because you can't figure out how to go about something practically or logically. You might get frustrated. So that's your masculine expressions, your alphas, killing each other in their heads because they don't know which one to follow, because there's no Eve to receive that expression. You've had the vision, but you haven't felt about it. You just know how to receive it, just like in real life. A man has a penis and a woman has a vagina. A man pushes out energy, a female receives energy. But now we're talking about the internal mechanism of your chakras and your brains, because with your brain you're doing the same thing that you're observing outside of you, but you're doing it internally. And whenever you learn to do these things internally, in a godly way, then you will be perceived as like a Jesus, as like someone who has high forms of knowledge, someone who is bringing new wisdom to the earth, because you're creating alchemy with your mind. And whenever you create alchemy, just like in the lab, you create results, you create products, you create information. Things are birthed from the interaction of those things. Okay, so yeah, Cain was working the earth, practical nature of things. Now this happened. Masculine nature is clashing in the mind of an observer God after a number of days, seconds, minutes, hours in your heads, wondering which masculine thought to go with. Cain brought some of the fruit of the earth, practicality, as an offering for the Lord, lower light or observer. And Abel himself also brought some of the firstborn of his sheep and some of their hard fat parts. Each masculine thought showed the observer what they can do for God, but only one masculine expression can be used as per direction. So whenever we use the word Lord God in the Bible, or when the author uses the words God, Lord God, I always like to think about that as the lower light, as the lower consciousness, because you're going to see how the author switches between the Lord God and God. And whenever God comes in, it's like you going back to your original space after you sinned. So after you fell, it's like you going back to your zero space, your nothingness, and you're like, oh, now I fell again. I gotta go create something new. So now this is you basically. So sometimes you create a lower light, because you know what you have to do sometimes. Sometimes you gotta kill one thought and be like, okay, this is how I'm gonna go about it. But sometimes you might create a lower light. Okay, let me come down as a lower form. That'd be the Lord God. But when you come as God, then That's you coming as a higher form to your thoughts and feelings. You presenting your thoughts and feelings with all the possibilities possible, and you directing that shit. You operating that shit. The Lord God doesn't see many possibilities. That's how I feel about the Lord God, and it's nothing but a title that we become in certain moments of time. That's really it. So Cain brought some of the fruits of the earth, practicality, as an offering for the Lord, lower light, which is just the fruits of light is like, your fruits, the seeds, the things that you bear from your labor. So this is just a thought showing its observer, listen, this is what I could do for you, this is what I could do for you, and blah, blah, blah. Cain brought some of the fruit of the earth, practicality, offering to the Lord, lower light of observer, and Abel himself also brought some of the firstborn of his sheep and some of their hard fat parts. Each masculine thought showed the observer what they can do for God, but only one masculine expression can be used per direction. Because you can go this way, you can go that way, but you gotta pick which one you're gonna do first. God, observer, looked upon Abel and upon his gifts, but he did not pay attention to Cain. And upon his offerings, observers choosing which masculine direction to go about something, he grieved Cain very much, and he fell on his face. When your masculine expression is not received well, you may fall and grieve mentally, since that's how you perceive your worth. Remember, this is why we say you are not your creation, you are the creator of those things. So the Lord God, which is the lower light, said to the observer Cain, why have you become deeply grieved? And why has your face fallen? Observer is surprised by this, since Cain can become a different type of masculine expression instead of grieving. This is like when you come to your thoughts and feelings as the Lord God, as the lower light, and you're like, and you can't see many possibilities. But this is God trying to tell his other alpha expression that, listen, don't you know that you can become all things? Don't you know that you could do more? You have more possibilities than what you just offered. Don't you know that you are not just a practical nature, that you are also a transformer among things? Because you can transform your thoughts and feelings, but it may be painful. It may hurt you because you're attached to those virtues and principles. It's like trying to let go of a virtue. It's not going to be easy, but you can transmute that virtue into something more positive, something that's going to uphold your life rather than destroy your life and lead you into frustrations and grief, just like Cain. Because you don't have to fall when your practical idea doesn't work. You can just choose to think about it, be air-like in a different way, then go back to being earth-like, practical about that air, things like that. Okay, so the Lord God, Lord light, said to Cain, why have you become deeply grieved, and why has your face fallen? Observer is surprised by this, since Cain can become something different. Instead of grieving, have you not sinned if you offer rightly, but do not divide rightly, not being more air-like, logical? So calm down. His recourse will be to you, and you will rule him. Remember, this is the Lord God, which is a lower light to consciousness that this observer created. Now, I was telling this masculine thought is going to win by another mean, by killing another thought. That's why the story is about being mentally harmful towards yourself and not harmonious. Because some people go into their minds, and you may not be as aware of it, but this is really what's happening. Because your thoughts and feelings are living things. You breathe the breath of life into them by paying them attention, by giving them energy, by nurturing. Just like you see your habits of drawing here grow, just like you see whatever skill and talent you go or get for, you had to breathe life into that. You had to give energy to that. So the same thing with your thoughts and feelings, they are alive. But when you bring them together in a harmful way, you don't only just harm yourself and your organs, you also harm your experience and your own external reality, because your thoughts and feelings go on inside of you. But since you are the God, the operator, that's supposed to generate and destroy accordingly to the circumstance and situation, according to your will, whenever you do these things negatively, you start to experience those externally. That's why your thoughts and feelings are immature. They don't know things of the external world. They only know this world inside of you. So that's why they're very immature. That's why you got to go through experience. That's why God takes you through experiences. And it's not really God, it's you. But yeah, it's you. You're doing everything to yourself. God is not really doing anything. And that's not even what they mean when they say God. God is just all possibilities. The ability to generate, operate, and destroy accordingly to your will. And Cain alpha expression said to Abel his brother, another alpha expression, let's walk through the field being the space inside of the mind, the field of potential. Because, all these places in your body are locations. So let's say even when you're at a castle, it might be like a space of luxury, Leo, vitality, and things like that. And things may happen in that space where a thought may come in and try to deceive your king that rules over all your other virtues and tell this king, this masculine expression, oh, you might be a feeling, you might send a bad feeling to this king of yours. But you just gotta pay attention, because when you pay attention to what's going on inside of you and you give those things names and titles and you begin to write it down as a story, that's how you get things like the Bible. That's how you get things like the Quran and things like that, because it's all stories about what's going on inside of you. Since all mankind is related, this goes on in other people as well. But instead of it becoming a teaching mechanism, it just becomes like a witchcraft rule over people. But that's even like another topic, to be honest with you. And this happened while they were in the field, mind space, potential realm. Cain, alpha versus alpha, rose against Abel, his brother, and killed him. Then God observer said to Cain, masculine expression, where is Abel, your brother? Because this is, again, the Lord God is just an observer going from vehicle to vehicle, membrane to membrane, title to title, status to status type of thing. So now that the observer, the Lord God, died off, that observer, and now the observer returned to the higher position, which is God, let's just say. Now he's asking, what happened? Because this is what you do. You might do something bad. A criminal might kill somebody and be like, that's the Lord God, the lower conscience, and then they become God again, and they're like, what happened? Why did I do that? What was going on? You was drunk from your own consciousness. That's what happened. But yeah, it's like that. It gets really deep, and that's why it's so beautiful as well, because you can see all aspects of life when it comes to these stories and things like that. Okay, and his brother, and he killed him. Then the gods said the masculine expression, where is Abel, your brother, the other masculine expression born through Adam and Eve, which did not lead to a harmonious arrangement. But he said, I don't know. I'm not my brother's guardian, am I? Remember that the Lord God, lower light, conscious of the observer, allowed it to happen. But when the observer goes back to zero, God, it observes things from a clearer space, like I was saying earlier. God, pure observer, said, what have you done? Masculine idea, killing a masculine energy. The voice of your brother's blood, vitality, cardiovascular, Leo, the solar plexus, the identity of that thought, was dying. Idea that thought had is gone, is crying out to me from the earth. The life force of that masculine thought, which is air-based, is being extinguished. So I can no longer use that. What did you do? Now accursed. He said you are accursed because you are non-harmonious. You was not creating in harmony and according to God laws of alchemy. That's why God got mad at this thought and decided to banish it, because if this were to keep happening, there would be destruction in your mind, and this would lead to external destruction as well. You might actually go kill somebody. Real shit. Now cursed, not harmonious. Are you upon the earth, practicality, which opened its mouth wide to receive the blood, life force of your brother from your hand? Because you will work the earth, having to overthink hard about your practical way to go, since you have no air, logic, communication, harmony between masculine and feminine. Being harmful to your own mind, you will reap suffering in your conscious mind, dual-minded. So this is again how people don't bring feelings and thoughts together. Some people are way too left brain. Some people bring only thoughts together, only their masculine expressions, and then their masculine expressions, they start killing themselves inside of them. Then they don't know how to go about something, and that makes them seem indecisive, and that's not a masculine expression. Then that makes you look like a beta male, really. But the only reason it'll make you look like a beta male is because you don't have anything to ground that in. You don't have anything to hold it down, like a female holds down the house with the other children. So when you can bring a good thought and a good feeling together, yeah, they can have good children, and shit like that. Because in the Talmud and the Mishnah, I believe Adam first he met Lilith, which is the story of most men in this world. First they meet a Lilith and they get stuck, aka their baby mama scamming them and things like that, which is not none of it is good and bad. It's just it is what it is. It's what you reap based on the alchemy of your thinking and things like that. So whenever people can't create good solutions, good ways of being practical, and they can't have a feeling to ground their practicality, their alpha, their expression, then it starts to lead to a negative marriage, a bad non-harmony. And yeah, it plays out in so many aspects of life. It plays out in so many aspects, it just plays out in so many aspects of life, man. It's crazy. Like, this shit crazy. Okay, so we were at... Okay, so it will not proceed to give its strength to you. You will moan and tremble upon the earth, since you are being harmful to your own mind. You will reap suffering in your conscious mind. Dual-minded. Cain, practical earth masculine expression, said to your lower light of consciousness, my guilt is too great for me to be forgiven. If you throw me out today from the face of the earth, and I will be hidden from your face, realizing he is harmful, not harmonious. He did not want to be in the presence or conscious field of vision, looking internally, then I will be moaning and trembling upon the earth, and anyone who finds me will kill me. This is an internal war against self. Metaphysically speaking, Cain would eventually be killed by another masculine expression, but the Lord God, lower light of conscious, gets involved. Because when you start this ritual and spell of killing your left brain, your logical thoughts, them killing each other, you not knowing how to practically go about something, or how to logically go about something, then you begin just to create a war in heaven. And that's what they mean by the war in heaven. The war in heaven is the war in your body, because this is the God body. And the war in heaven is just nothing about you. It's just about you creating non-harmonious natures, and you killing your offspring. You having the crusades inside of you, persecuting. You're like, I see this what's happening inside of him. He's like, yeah, this practical way of doing things, this is a sinner. This, like, it's crazy, man, because this shit happens in real life all the time, bro. And if you're wise enough to see it, you'll begin to see it inside of you. So you don't want to be in that position where you're constantly killing your masculine expression because you don't know which one to go about it. You know, you want to have a practical way of going about things. You don't want to get lost by having too many alphas in your mind. It plays out in real life, like having too many masculine men together that are not actually grounded because they're missing the right brain, their feminine expression, them exerting their power over each other, trying to show each other who's strongest. And we see this ritual and spell playing out in the government all the time, in the parliament building. Everybody trying to be logical, everybody trying to be practical, and all the alphas in there is just trying to kill each other. Like, nobody's coming into an agreement unless they win an argument, unless they force something down your throat, unless they tell you, nah, they are right about this. Like, yeah, it's crazy. It's crazy, man. This world we live in is crazy. Now, this is where we get a little bit deeper, because we're going to be talking about the astrotheology and the astrology. And I'm going to help you understand what they're saying when they mean Cain moved over to another land and blah, blah, blah. But let's get started. So the Lord God, lower light of observers, said to him, it will not be like that. Anyone who kills Cain, practical earth nature, will release 7 reprisals, 7 negative motions that reverse your 7 chakras. So, because this is a non-harmonious arrangement. This is somebody who's killing their own masculine expressions for another masculine expressions. This is a war in the left brain. So when something like that keeps on going, it has negative effects on the rest of the systems, because all of your entities, all of your other thoughts and feelings, your entities living out through your body, they're like, okay, what's going on? There's a clog somewhere. Something is not harmonious, because look, you eat something, you digest it, and you shit it out. If that's not happening mentally as well, then that lets you know that you're about to fuck up and create a war of some sort, and create some kind of problems, not just for yourself but for other people around you, because now you're not in control of your internal environment. So now you're about to create a bad external environment. You're to participate in the parameter outside of you negatively. So when he talks about 7 chakras reprisals, he's talking about you not being able to correlate and coordinate your 7 centers of energy. So your heart chakra, you not being able to receive the feeling that someone else has. Why someone doing this? You're just able to see the Mars, the root chakra. Yeah, you gotta go to war. Yeah, you gotta fight for this to happen, and then you gotta express it with your throat chakra, which is like your Venus and your appreciation and your Mercury and things like that. You're like, no, this is how I feel. So now your root chakra goes to your goes to your throat, and you're going to war, blah blah. You're telling people this and this and that. Nah, this is the right thing to do. Da. So this is what it means. It means because the body is a sequence. The body is a harmonious sequence, and whenever the harmonious sequence is not honored, sins will be made, meaning destruction, meaning missing the point about something that you was getting ready to create, something that you was getting ready to do, something you was about to go forward about. So that's the consequences of not being harmonious. It affects this whole system, this whole God body, this whole system. It affects it. But whenever you're harmonious, it can lead to you living longer. It can lead to you experiencing better mental health. This is where a lot of mental health problems come from shit like this. So yeah, it's just all about you understanding how to correlate your aspects, because the aspects of the self are the God aspects of the self. You know, the Quran also discusses the animals in the heavens, and the animals in the heavens are nothing but characteristics and attributes that you invoke, which are different faces and different sides of God. And whenever you master all those different faces of God, you begin to create as God. And the people on the earth can see or say no otherwise, because you are a godly person internally, you are harmonious internally, so your creation outside is seen as godly and harmonious, no matter what. Real shit. Okay, so let's keep on going. So the Lord God has placed a sign for Cain for other masculine expressions, not to kill him, since it may lead to further abomination. That thought was an experience and an example for the rest to be more harmonious, so that none who find him would kill him. Cain, earth, went out from the face of God. Conscious internal peripheral view, because this is like you saying, okay, like that conscious thought that kills people, that kills I don't want to see it anymore. You go to a different piece of land. I don't want you to be my vision. Now you being God, you can go see what that thought is doing. But this is basically the internal observer telling this thought to go somewhere else, because I'm trying to create something on this land. I'm trying to bring, and this land might be your heart chakra. This land might be your throat chakra. Some of your sacral chakra. These are all lands which we build intellectual property upon, and things like that. So you are also a builder of the earth. But what are you building? Are you gonna build by ways of being not harmonious, or are you gonna build and be harmonious? So that none who find him will kill Cain. So Cain, earth, went out from the face of God, conscious internal peripheral view, and lived in the land of Nod, opposite to Eden. Now going to a different aspect of side of the brain, mind. Cain was influenced by Michael, because remember, here is telling you that he went out from the face of God and lived in the land of Nod, opposite to Eden, going to a different aspect of the side of the brain. Now, I personally, not even personally, because this is a cosmologist or esoteric, so it's definitely true. Now, Cain, when he was at the right side of things, when he was on the right side of the land, that's like you being in the Middle East. That's like you being in Arabia. That's like you being in Cairo, Egypt, things like that. And that's the geographical location which the energy of Archangel Michael rules. That's why a lot of those niggas was going to war all the time. And war obviously was going on all over the but mostly here, because everybody's trying to be right. They'll be saying like, nah, I'm right. Nah, look at this, I'm right. Nah, I'm doing this right. Nah, you guys are not believers of God. Blah 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 blah. So we get the Crusades. So we get the Islam niggas. But that story is deep too, because the Islam niggas was trying to teach the Christian niggas that, listen, like, you're all doing this thing wrong. Y'all got because the Christian niggas, they started thinking that the Bible was talking about something external. They thought it was a historical book, actually, and it's not a history book. It's an internal book about, because the Masorah, the Jews, was involved in it. The Jews before that was involved in writing, because the Bible was just a collection, but it came from a lot of those Jerusalem niggas, that bloodline of people which perceived things a certain way. So this is how they perceive things, and this is how they wrote things down for them to remember those things. So keep that in mind also. So Cain was influenced by Michael, which is the angel of righteousness. That's why he thought he was right for killing Abel, based the air-based expression. But when he went to live on the opposite side of the hemisphere internally, the opposite of Michael is Uriel, which is to separate from that previous way of thinking as a thought to do something else with your natures. So Michael always wants to be right. So when you rule over your natures correctly, you just say this. Okay, this thought I am right about. I need to do this thought. Okay, yeah, I do need to go buy my groceries. I do need to go find a job so I can support my family. Okay, what is right for you? You're deciding that with your right hemisphere. Not your right hemisphere, but you being righteous. Think about the directions. You're like, nah, I know I'm right about this. Nah, I'm gonna leave. Leave is like another expression of left. You going left side, separated from something. So that's the virtue of Uriel. Uriel teaches you how to separate from your virtues and principles, the things that you don't need, which things like destruction and things like that. You letting go of that. And Michael's like, yeah, I'm right about this, I'm right about that. Some people might be sexual addicts. Some people might need to go to Uriel and let go of that. But it's not some supernatural shit. It's just you being able to leave something. Okay, I'm gonna leave this habit because I know this habit has been destroying me. I'm gonna be righteous about this because I know this can bring me prosperity. It's shit like that. So these are all directions that you go mentally. I'm gonna be right about this. Now I'm gonna leave this habit. Now I feel up about this. That's Raphael. I feel up about this. I feel high up in the sky, like Leo. I feel high. That's Raphael. Gabriel is all the way down in Pisces. Man, it's the death. You gotta contemplate now. Man, was this the right thing to do? Because we're always going through these cycles. You're always gonna see Uriel. You're always gonna see Gabriel. You're always gonna see Raphael. You're always gonna meet Michael, and you ain't got a damn choice. So you gotta use these virtues and principles accordingly to lift yourself up from whatever darkness you put yourself in. Because we're inside of this being, and it's a being of darkness. It's a being of lust. It's a being that needs help. It's a being that's scared. It's a weak God that we're in, is what I'm saying. And even that's another topic. So, but he went on the opposite side of the hemisphere internally, opposite of Michael's Uriel, to separate from the previous way of thinking as a thought and to do something else with your natures. Cain knew his wife, masculine, knowing that it needs feminine to be harmonious. So he's telling you Cain knew he needs his wife. So the left brain finally realized that it needed a right brain. It's not supposed to go kill another man because it's more alpha, more masculine than you. That's what weak men do. That's what scared men do. They go attack other men. Shit like that. They don't develop themselves. Yes. So, negative and positive, two forms of opposite natures have friction to create a new form, body, thought, or feeling to be expressed. And once she conceived, she brought forth Enoch, which is a masculine expression. He was building a city, a system of interconnectedness networks that function together like the human body. Just like your neurons work together, when people come together, they create a system of interconnectedness. Like you having a harbor district in your city, you having a commercial hub, you having a culture center. Just like your chakras are connected, we build these things externally in the forms of cities and things like that. So he's building a city, he's building a chakra system, because your body is a big ass chakra system. So is America, so is any place in the world. It's the big ass chakra, and the better you know how to do it, the more you can kind of yield from that location, because each location has its benefits and disadvantages based on the alchemy of that geographical locations. So things like the desert may be extremely dry in condition, but that also provides some other benefits and things like that. So, and he named the city after the name of his son Enoch. Erod was born to Enoch, and Erod fathered Mehujael, and Mehujael fathered Methuselah, and Methuselah fathered Lamech. The thoughts after Cain, the generations after Adam and Eve, in terms of thoughts and feelings. So, just like your thoughts and feelings, when they come together, they have sex. They create creation. They create forms. Just like you are here physically, believe it or not, you are just like your mother and father in some kind of desire, in some kind of passion, in some kind of nature. Because there's no way in hell you would be born through your current mother and father if you guys didn't share something spiritually, if you guys didn't share something esoterically. So the generations that Cain fathered were just like him. They were workers of the earth. And we're actually going to see Cain reincarnating later as a thought and a feeling in a new form. Because that's all we're doing with our thoughts and feelings. It's I'm telling you, this shit crazy. This shit crazy. So himself, the name of the one was Adna, feminine expression, and the name of the second was Zila, feminine expression. Adna, feminine expression, with Lamech, masculine, creating friction between forms. Positive and negative come together, left brain and right brain, brought forward Jabal, like Abel, a logic-based expression, like Jabal, like Abel, a logic-based masculine expression that directs lower natures within the mind. This man, masculine expression, was the father of the cattle raisers who lived in tents. Practicality. A tent is a form derived from the knowledge of the earth. Because if you don't know how to take fabrics and weave them together, how to create pillars, these are all that's the knowledge of the earth. That's the father of the earth. Cain was a worker of the earth, so this was in his blood. This was in his understanding. This was his knowledge. So naturally, his descendants, being just like him, would know about these things. Derived from the knowledge of earth. The name of his brother was Jubal. This man was the one who invented the harp and the lyra. Lyra and harp is a constellation between Aquarius and Capricorn. First masculine thought, to have the knowledge of those winter degrees, bringing air, logic, and earth practicality in one form. So the constellation of Aquarius and Capricorn is a constellation related to the practicality of you initiating forms of structure. So them starting to make tents, them being cattle raisers and things like that. And Aquarius being a logic-based constellation, which is fixated on its way of thinking about the world and things like that. That's why Aquarius is very good at starting communities, very good at group activities, because they know how to maintain their own space, but they also know how to relate that space between other people. So this is like this group of thoughts and feelings practicing these virtues, them being able to build tents, houses for them to protect themselves, and then being able to use the Aquarius energy to relate to each other. So that begins the forms of community and things like that. And the community and practicality started way before this earth. This shit was already here. We just came later after that as a physical form. But you probably existed before that. To have the knowledge of those winter degrees, burning air, logic, vitality into one form, Zila brought forth birth through positive and negative. Even she, Tubal, Cain, and he was a hammer using coppersmith of copper of iron. That's why I was telling you, Cain is going to reincarnate again, and he just became Tubal Cain, or whatever they wanted to give his name. But it's just showing you how the same bloodline maintains the same virtues and principles. If it's like kept clean. So you can do this inside of you. You can create thoughts and feelings, generations that uphold those virtues and principles that you created. And whatever birth they create is always going to be related back into the natures that you wanted. So just like me being here speaking about this, me being able to esoterically break down, those are thoughts and feelings I'm bringing together, and they're having sex, and they're creating more children that can create this experience, depending on what I choose to pay attention to. So same thing in your life, you're having children, offspring, based on your left brain and right brain, and how they come together to create a bloodline to rule over you internally. When you rule over yourself internally, you have mastered eternity, because now this because the timeline, because the timeline that's going on in your body is different than the timeline that's going on outside of you. That's why the Bible talks about, Cain, earlier when I was talking about it, Cain was, I believe, it was days and months, but in your mind, that's like minutes and seconds, because you're deciding which logical thought to go for. Should I marry this logical idea to this feeling and hold that down and get them to have children and do more of that, have more ideas about that, It's shit like that. So that's what I was saying. Cain was gonna come back, and you can see Cain, the virtue of Cain in Tubal Cain. And he was a hammer using coppersmith of copper and iron. See, he understood the knowledge of the earth. The metals are also knowledge of the earth. When you understand the earth, you understand how to use metals as well. That's why they tell you, the angels came down to earth and they taught men how to make weapons, how to make swords. That was you. That was you and me. We came down here and did that shit. We was teaching people cosmetics, the art of making weapons, the art of making war. But your thoughts and feelings are doing this internally. So it's allegories of internally, externally. Yeah, because your thoughts and feelings, you receive that too. You receive things. Yeah, real shit. You receive your thoughts and feelings, and you be creating your thoughts and feelings. But when you look at it internally and then you see it externally as well, you start to understand that we are a physical expression of that. Like I'm a masculine expression. I might go find me a female, and if our virtues and principles align, meaning let's say I was a worker of the waters and I was a worker of the fire, and I was responsible for the bringing together those chaotic natures to create an orderly natures of air or earth, whatever we're doing. So if I find me a female that's of the water element, then most likely we might have water kids that have strong water energy. Me having a lot of strong Leo energies in my chart, I might have kids that are strong-willed with a fire. They got a fixed vision. They got a fixed fire how they see themselves, and they might not listen to nobody else. So depending on who I choose to conceive children with, that might be a harmonious arrangement or a non-harmonious, because a lot of people bring demonic children into this world, and it's not about looking at the kid like, oh, you're a demon and I need to kill you, I need to get rid of you. Nah, having children is not even like a. You just gotta. It's annoying to say, oh, there's a right way to do it, or there's a wrong way to do it, but it really is like that. Like, you don't think the angel in your mind is trying to tell your thoughts and feelings, nah, don't come together like this because you guys are gonna sin against yourself, and you already know when you're gonna sin against yourself. When you go into McDonald's and you go eat a burger, you know you're not supposed to eat, and your angel tells you, come on, man, you know we was working out, bro. Come on, your logic is trying to explain to your feelings, your fire and your water, your right brain, your chaotic feelings. Yo, listen, man, you know we gotta go work out and shit, and you created me to remind you that you logically came to the conclusion that you need to work out. But now look at you, you're stuck in your feelings, you're stuck in your chaotic natures, and you can't be orderly. Now your angel, boof, fucking left you. Because you couldn't even uphold that. Now you can create another angel, but that's like you creating an internal allegory for constantly giving up. Because your thoughts and feelings, they are watching you. These are your witnesses. In the Quran, when it tells you that your body parts will be your own witnesses, that's what it's telling you. It's telling you your blood is alive. That's what it's telling you. Your blood is seeing what the fuck you're doing. It's seeing you a snake. It sees you're weak. It sees you don't uphold the things that you create with your mind. So your own body won't fuck with you. And when you catch cancer because of your lack of consistency with your own thoughts and feelings and emotions, that's your damn fault. Because you was weak. And that's all that's happening in the world. People not upholding their own thoughts and feelings, being bad gods and being bad goddesses. And that's it. But you know, and even then it goes deep, because people can create bad flows, but we can still like create like, because look, it's about how you flow. When you create bad flows of blood, that's why people like, you know, they might develop blood clots and things like that, because things in your body, the motherfuckers in your body, they can't travel properly because you created a sin in one of those virtues and principles in your body, one of those organs, and now you can't operate properly. Now you need dialysis. Now you need a machine externally. That's how it plays out. So that's how the government kind of gets us to play out negative witchcraft, non-harmonious witchcraft, and then they also create systems which suck in that negative energy and leads them to monetary gain. So that's they beast system type of shit. Yeah, but let's finish this off now. So, a worker of the earth, just like their spiritual predecessor, Cain, like I was telling you earlier, the sister of Tubal Cain, earth-based masculine expression, was Nama. Lamech said to his wives, Ada and Zillah, hear my voice, wives of Lamech. Give ear to my words, because I killed a man for a wound to me, and a young man for a bruise to me. Because sevenfold revenge has been given to Cain, but from Lamech 70 times 7. Adam knew Eve his wife, and once she conceived, she brought forth a son named Seth, saying, because God raised up another offspring for me in the place of Abel, whom Cain killed. Seth had a son, and he called his name Enoch. This one hoped to invoke the name of God. So again, this is just a story about thoughts and feelings. Now these thoughts and feelings came together, conceived to have children. Now here we're back to Adam and Eve on the right brain hemisphere of things, on the right side of the land. Because there's a lot of ways to look at it. So I don't want you guys to get confused when I say the left brain and the right brain. Michael and Uriel. I understand those are locations that you do things with. Those are locations that you go to do things with. So even another perspective would be you can look at your lower natures. When you look at the sign of Sagittarius, it's a half man, half beast, because you are a half man, half beast as well. This here is your higher natures, your brain and things like that, and this is here your lower natures, where your dick and pussy area is at. Because when you look at the zodiac wheel, basically, Aries is the head area, and then once it goes to Libra, that's the area here of the hip bone. You flexing down to help someone, helping people, because Libras like to initiate a new way of appreciating people and things like that. But when we go into Libra from Virgo, we go below the horizon. So that's why Scorpio is your regenerative organ, which is just your penis and your vagina organ and things like that. And so those are going down. These are like your lower natures. That's what you're learning how to deal with, because we're darkness and we're light, but we're learning how to make darkness and light harmonious so we can become an infinity source of energy. Because right now you're creating bad energy, you're creating negative energy and shit like that. So Enoch, this one hoped to invoke the name of the Lord God. And that means a lot of things, you know. When you say Enoch's trying to invoke the name of the Lord God, that's like you trying to invoke those virtues and principles. You understanding earth, fire, and water, and air, and you understanding how these three play out in different modalities, in different atmospheres, and you can actually begin to see these things in real life in a lot of different places. So when somebody, for example, comes to you in the form of Scorpio, they might be fixated on the emotion and they might not want to let you know how they feel about something, or that's basically you kind of wearing an apron mentally. You're not letting someone know about your desires. You're not letting someone know about your secrets. You're not letting someone know what's going on behind the scenes and what they want to do to you behind the scenes. So that's what the Bible is trying to explain to you. It's trying to explain to you these allegories, and it's trying to break it down in the form of a story that, it's just a big ass psychology book, really. And yeah, so this was the story of Cain and Abel. And we're going to be back to you with the next presentation. Please like, comment, and subscribe. And we'll be back just like the wind.